Alright, here's another tool video, and today I'm covering the quarter bit extension. And today I got these two extensions. This is the 6-inch and the 12-inch Dewalt. As you can see, number is, let's see if I can get a close-up here. DWA12AXTMF for the 12-inch. And the 6-inch is the DWA 6 Extreme MF. So these are your max fits. One thing I didn't realize when I got them today, I thought this collar here was plastic, but it's not. It's actually aluminum. And so far, they work. It worked fine, as you can see. Here, let me show you. I have used it because today I've been working on trying to get an antenna installed outside because the channels aren't coming in too well. So here I have the Warrior set of augers. This is the half-inch, 3/4, and an inch from Harbor Freight. And here I have the other part number for the hex bits, DWA. What is this? 1HS. Come on. MF. Let me see. It'll focus here. There you go. MF9. All right. This I got on a different day, and as you can see, I have it set here on the Milwaukee set that I got a while back. The Milwaukee isn't quite complete, but I needed a hex bit somewhere. I forget where, and I realized this only had flat bits, Torx bits, and the other stuff here. So I've been making my own and just adding what I need. So I have my Torx. So now I have the hex, and then the Phillips and the flats on here. I also added the Warrior what do you call it, extensions here, or the adapters for the sockets. I do have the same thing over here on this particular set, but I also added a couple of spare drill bits that I had just to kind of complete that a little more. A few cable ties. So yeah, if you notice, a lot of the this sets don't actually come complete, so you kind of have to make your own. And the reason I got this particular set for the from the Dewalt was because if we look at them, if I can get to them, come on, that's pretty tight. These are actually their security. Let me see if I can get the big one instead. As you can see, it's the security bit set right there. That's like the extra one that it has on there, but let me see if I can get. Yeah, there we go. So if you look, they're the hex bit, but they're also a security bit. They have the solder ones, but I figure, well, they're the same price. I might as just well get these, because every now and then you do get that, and I don't use them that often to begin with. But I want to cover them in this video since I'm already doing this new tool, two tools here. A lot of people have been saying they have problems with this, but they look fine. I mean, it just depends on what you're doing. The one thing I don't like is this thinner part on these shafts, because obviously that's the weakest link. I went with the Dewalt for two reasons. One, it seemed a little thicker than the Milwaukee, and two, these are actually made in Taiwan. If you'll look here, right there, that's the 12-inch, and this is the 6-inch. And then the Milwaukee was made in China. Although a lot of the Milwaukee is made in China, I just wanted the thicker shafts on there just to make sure it was a little stronger. I did look at the Makita. Makita is actually thinner than this one, and the Milwaukee was it just felt a little thinner too. The other one that was pretty thick was the Diablo, but that one's also made in China, and it was not magnetic, which I forgot to mention. The Milwaukee, I mean the this Dewalt, it's magnetic, which I also like. So you get the locking, quick release, and then it's also magnet. They're both magnetic, so that's why I like those. And the reason I got these, obviously, is because I was making that hole again, and I started with this one, but I got through, and then there's about a 1 inch thick uh, uh, thickness of cement that I couldn't get through. It was just, I just stopped there. And also from inside out, I wanted to make it a little bigger. So instead of just doing the 1/2 inch, I wanted to go into the 3/4 uh, hole because I wanted to get a little bigger, or have a bigger hole for more cables. Now, this was my first or second time I'm using these augers, but the last time I tried to use this one, I didn't have a drill that was strong enough to use this, so I had to use my uncle's, which we got it through, but that was still pretty hard to do. So this time around, I went ahead and I used this one first, and then I went ahead and used that one. And I ran into the problem where you can't do that. If you're gonna go into wood, you either use the big one or the small one, but you can do the small to the big, because once you do the small one, there's no place for that little tip to grab. So trying to get a bigger hole on the wood with a hole that's already been drilled with a half, it's gonna make it harder. So that's where these came in. I went ahead and grabbed this one, or these two, and I used my 3/4 paddle, which is the same as the middle one here. So once I was able to get that hole, even though I had the 1/2 inch hole, once I did that with the paddle, this one went right through, no problem, all the way to the concrete. So this solved my problem with drilling the smaller hole and then trying to get it to make the 3/4 hole. So that's just something I've learned. It's just one of those things you learn as you go. But if you're in pure wood and you want a 3/4, you might as well just start with the 3/4. I guess that's the point I'm trying to make here. If not, it's still doable. But you got to use a paddle, and you can get these in long versions too. But I decided to just get the adapter instead, because that way I can use everything that I already have. So that brought me to my next problem. The about an inch of concrete. Now, if you try to go into concrete with one of these, you're gonna dull the blade real quick, like I did. And I went ahead and took my Dremel and I fixed it, or sharpened it again. So don't go to the concrete with these. It's just something I thought I tried and that didn't work. This here is an installer bit. However, even with the installer bit, if you look, it kind of dulled that out a little bit when I tried to do a little bit on the concrete. It's not completely dull, but it definitely is something. Obviously, this is for wood, not for concrete. So that brings me to my next point. If you have something like this, you want to get the similar size concrete bits, so that in case you run into that problem, you'll have a way to finish the job that you're doing without ruining your other bits. And in my case, I only have 3 small concrete bits here. So I went ahead and used all this three bits. I started with the small one, and I went ahead and did all three holes with this one. The reason I wanted to do the small ones is because I remember doing using one of these last time on a hole going from the inside out, and once you get to the outside, like part of the part of the wall will just crack and fall out, and I didn't want to do that this time around. That's why I used a smaller one, so I was able to get through the concrete without making a big break on the outside, and just making a smaller hole. And then with this one, I just, because I didn't have a bigger size, I went ahead and just did as much as I could to get remove more material for the hole to make it a little bigger for the half. Once I did that and I was through, I went ahead and used my installer bit again, and that allowed me to get back out. And now I have inside, I have a 3/4 hole, but on the outside I only have a half on through the concrete, which is still big enough. I was still able to get it big enough that I can put a couple, one or two more cables besides the one I have. So that was a plan for that, but that's why I want to make this video, because this is something I just learned, and then you definitely want to have a similar size concrete bits, because if not, you're gonna run into that problem. And also, um, when I was helping a family member, he bought one of these so that we could go up in the ceiling where we couldn't reach with a spade bit, and that worked great. Those were the Bosch, but I didn't have anything myself, so I just went and picked these up from Home Depot, and in order to complete, at least have something that I could use. Um, this auger actually worked pretty well once I put it on wood on this one. Man, that thing just went right through, not a problem there. So that was kind of nice to finally uh, be able to use it and see if it actually worked well. The 1/2 inch drill worked great, but in concrete, that's a whole nother story, even though it's on the wall, but it's pretty thick. Um, I wasn't thinking I would run into that problem, but I sure did. So now I'm looking for either a half and a 3/4, or a whole set that has more quarter bits like this, more complete set for the what do you call it, the concrete, because you run into things that you know are gonna be a little thicker than what you thought they were, but it just, that's just the way it is. So as far as the paddle bits, I'm just glad I had the 3/4, because so far that's the biggest one I had to do. I haven't had I need to make a big old 1 inch hole on the wall, so when that time comes, then maybe we'll do that. But for now, just the 3/4 and the half one there are plenty, because those are these two similar ones that I normally use. But yeah, I want to cover that because this is something that comes in very handy, especially if it's a magnetic type. I didn't even realize this was I didn't even think about it at the store, and then I started reading some reviews where people had problems, and they said that these things just fall off. What I found out is that when you use this, make sure the paddle bits are not touching anything, and that you're turning freely before you actually try to push it into something. If you try to start it without letting it spin freely, I find them to get stuck anyway. So another thing, if it's not sharp, and all you have to do is look at it from the angle here, or the side, you can see the right there. You'll see that if you don't have that angle, your bit is pretty dull, and all you need to do is get a like a Dremel grinder and just grind it again, so that you'll have that and it'll be sharp. I've seen so many guys just try to move the drills like this just to force the drill bit to make the hole, And when you're doing that, you know your bit is pretty dull. That's why it's not gonna cut. You don't need to do that. You should be able to just slowly press it straight, and it should cut really well. But if it's sharp, it will do it. But if this is dull, you're gonna have a hell of a time trying to get that hole done. It's just something I notice, and obviously keeping your tools sharp will save you a lot of headaches, anyways. So make sure you do that. And I know I went over a little long on this one, but I just want to kind of cover everything so that you get an idea of what you might need. With just the basic stuff, I mean, this is just some very basic stuff that I use. But as you can see, it just sort of becomes more and more as you go and do different things. And if anybody has a small set of these that have something similar to that, let me know in the comments. If not, I'll just see what I can find. But anyways, other than that, that's pretty much it. These things are pretty handy uh, to begin with. So I just went ahead and got both. I do have this type. This is a magnetic cobalt, but it's not a locking version. So this is definitely not going to work with the paddle bits and stuff because they'll just fall out or get stuck wherever you're doing that. So this one I just use for screws and stuff, but I haven't even used this one. It's still brand new. So just another tool, I guess.